Good day, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at time walking and all the benefits of time walking, as well as discussing the rewards that you can get from time walking. So time walking is great. Usually it occurs once a month during a select week, but during special occasions or nearing the end of major patches, they just run it week to week. When you do a time walking dungeon, you get a significant EXP bonus. The time walking dungeons are scaled to the appropriate item level of that expansion, and not to mention, because players are always running it, it tends to be quite a quick run. Generally, like we're talking 10 minutes a dungeon here. Now, when it comes down to it, it's a pretty effective leveling tactic, especially for level 60 to 70 right now in obviously Dragonflight. So there's definitely a higher level of leveling benefit. I think you'll see the footage right now of me in a couple dungeons, and if you look at all the times of this footage, I gain about 2 levels in around 35 minutes, which is pretty decent timing, to be honest with you. So it took me from 60 to 62 pretty easily. Now obviously there's a couple things you can do to boost this leveling, and mainly what you can do is have rested EXP. It's a pretty sizable benefit having rested EXP. It doubles the EXP gain you get from the mobs within dungeons, and since you're going to be killing quite a few mobs in between the bosses, it's a pretty sizable kind of EXP gain. Now, it's not the most efficient level or leveling tactic, but it is possibly the most easy leveling tactic. All you have to do, especially if you're a tank or healer, is simply queue up. Otherwise, you and your friends can put together a leveling party and you can just basically go for it. There are also some things you can do to make your life easier, because certain item level is scaled, and because during that week certain items will become reactive. Essentially what you can do is you can wear old legendaries from expansions that you haven't worn in a while, and those legendaries will essentially enable you to finish the dungeons incredibly quickly. So leveling is a very significantly beneficial component to the time walking experience. The next kind of beneficial component that you get is gear. The gear is not crazy, so I'm not going to say that the gear is insanely good, but basically a big benefit is the gear that you get. Now the gear will scale as you level up and you'll get relevant dungeon pieces, but the big thing about the gear is that if you're at max level, it's basically heroic gear, and considering how quick the dungeons take, it's a pretty nice way to quickly gear yourself up, especially if you've just hit max level and you're looking to just kind of grab a few extra pieces. And then finally, the other real big benefit that you get directly from the dungeons themselves, before we talk kind of about currency, is, well, before we talk about the benefits of the currency, is the time walking tokens themselves. So time walking tokens have a multitude of benefits, ranging from being able to be exchanged for a reputation with certain factions, as well as being able to be exchanged for mounts and other really, really nice goodies. So there's a lot of benefits to running time walking. In terms of tokens, you will get 5 per boss kill that you do. You will also receive some from completing the dungeon. You also receive some as the bonus for queuing up for the dungeon. And essentially, you will also receive some for completing quests. Now, the quests that you get will drop from random items that can fall from bosses at the end of the dungeon. You're going to see one pop up just now, basically to showcase to you guys. Now, these time walking quest items can be activated and then handed in at the time walking vendor, so that you're able to essentially grab yourself an extra 500 time walking tokens, which is very valuable. 500 time walking tokens can be exchanged for quite a multitude of rewards, and it's 10% of amount. And there's no limit to these quests except that you can only hand in 1 per instance. So for example, you'll see me pick up the Apex Crystal. This crystal can only be handed in once per time walking period. So in this case, the time walking week. But essentially, yes, the Shimmering Crystal can be handed in this week for Warlord's Adrenal, and if I get it again, it can be handed in next week, as long as I've handed in the previous Shimmering Crystal. Does that make sense? Shimmering Crystal or the quest items are also account bound, not character bound. So if you don't activate the quest, you can send them to alts and use that EXP to kind of boost them, which is nice. So let's talk about the actual currency rewards. Now you're looking for the time walking vendors. Different vendors will be active for different weeks. I'll leave the locations of all of them in the description. But essentially, each week the vendor will be in the main capital for that expansion. So for example, for Warlord's Adrenal, it's Ashran. For Mr. Pandaria, it will be the main hub in the middle of Pandaria, which I've now completely blanked on. But yes, you can hand in your quests here and also purchase the items. So as long as you have a multitude of quest items, you can hand them in here, and you will get your tokens as well as pretty decent EXP. Now the main thing that all the vendors sell are mounts. There are currently 6 time walking mounts that you can get. So Favor of the Val'sharah Hippogriff for Legion, Beastlord, Iron Tusk and Warwolf for Warlords, the Eclipse Dragonhawk for Burning Crusade, and Bridle of the Ironbound Wraith Charger for Wrath, and Urline, the Daughter of Jade for Mists. They each cost 5,000, which isn't that much when you think about it. The other notable prizes that you can get are you can buy certain toys, respective for each faction or each time period each week, and you can buy yourself some commendations. The commendations are actually quite sizable and will help you grind rep with factions that may be a bit too difficult to grind or you just don't feel like it. Not to mention there are also heirloom upgrades and heirloom items. So that's kind of all of the rewards. Now, a big reward that you can also get from the drops of the bosses is actually the Reigns of the Infinite Time Reaver. Now, this has a chance to drop from any time walking boss, but it's quite a rare drop rate. For example, me and my friends have been running time walking dungeons since the absolute dawn of time, and honestly, the drop rate is pretty low. We're talking like 2 out of 1,000 attempts, like very, very low. It's less than a percentage, but there is a chance to get it. But that is basically it. Everything you need to know about time walking. Hopefully this has inspired you to do some time walking. If I were you, I would definitely do so. It's beneficial, especially if you're leveling or just looking to maybe pick up a nice cool new mount, or maybe just looking to get some rep with factions. But either way, there's plenty of benefits. So leave a comment if you've got any other ideas, and bye.